In this presentation, we covered a range of information related to how to boost website authority. Before we went into that, we wanted to go through an overview of how a website gets ranked on Google, since that's the goal of what we're trying to do by increasing website authority. So we went over some of this information for those of you that weren't able to attend other presentations where we covered the major factors that influence how a website gets ranked on Google. And there's really three factors that determine whether or not your website shows up on Google. The first factor is whether or not Google can access your site. That comes down to the technical structure of your site and how it's laid out from a development perspective. The second factor is whether or not Google understands your website, and that comes down to whether Google understands the content of your website and considers it about what people are searching for online. So your prospects are searching for certain things online. You need to make sure that Google understands your website is about that. And finally, authority. Google needs to consider you an authority in your marketplace and an important source of information in order to actually show you on the first page of search results. And that's what we focused on during the presentation, is how to increase your website's authority so that you get more rankings. Now, before we start with the process of boosting authority and getting more links to increase authority, we need to talk about how competitive your market is. And this is important to do because it helps you start to understand goals in your market. And we discussed a specific way to do this, a relatively simple way, in the webinar. But the process that we use when we're analyzing a market is we look at the number of links, the keywords that are in those links that your competitors may have, but we also look at a range of other information and we compare this to your particular website. So remember, links, the number of people that are referring to your website online, are what drive your website's authority. And so in this particular example, we're looking at your competitors and understanding the number of links they have, the keywords that are in those links, and a range of other information. But then we also look at ratios of link metrics. And what I mean by that is not every link is created equal. Some are high quality, some are low quality. Some are keywords in the actual link text. Some are brand names. Some are just words such as click here. And so what we're looking for here is for websites, your competitor websites that are ranked on the first page of Google, what ratios of links type do they have? Do they have mostly high authority links or mostly low authority links? What percentage of their links are keyword links versus company name related links? And the reason why we look at that information is that's what Google considers normal in your market, and we use that information to compare it to yours. And basically what we're identifying is the link footprint, the types of links you need to have, the ratio of those links that you need to have in order to rank on the first page. So what we're trying to do here is understand the link footprint in your market and then understand where your website is an outlier. So maybe you need more company name related links, or maybe you need potentially more low quality links to your website. It's important to look at the metrics in any market. So that's one process that we covered on the webinar. It's a little bit deep for this recap, but that's an overview of how we analyze the market. Once we looked at competition like we just did, then we went into different ways to actually get links to your website. And there's a lot of different ways to do this. And so in the recap video, we're going to cover the ones that we reviewed on the webinar and the ones that are typically the most simple to pursue. And the first thing you can do is work with people you already have a relationship with. Remember, the goal is to get ranked on, or to get links on other people's websites. So one of the things that you can do is you can create a case study or a testimonial for a service provider or a vendor that you might be working with. And so here on the screen is an example of a testimonial that one of our clients published with one of their service providers. And so an easy way to go about this is to look at the service providers that you work with and you have a pretty good relationship with, look on their website and see if they're actually publishing testimonials, and then just give them a testimonial to publish on their website. Another thing you can do is create blog content, again, usually in the form of a case study. This is great for marketing service providers you're working with, software providers, etc. This is an example here on the screen from raventools.com. It's a software in the SEO industry. And you can basically offer to create one, or just go ahead and create one and then give it to them if they already publish case studies on their site. Also, offer to share it with your network as well. That way they're getting some exposure for the content also. And so that's a great way to get links from people that you already have relationships with. The big thing that we covered on this webinar that we went really in depth on is how to get really big PR opportunities, so journalist mentions and press coverage that drives links, traffic, and serious revenue. And so we went through a case study of sorts about a client that used a free tool that only takes a little bit of time each week, about 20 minutes a week. They got mentioned on CNN Money. And this ended up driving 16,000 visits in one day when it got published and $55,000 in revenue over about 30 days that was directly attributable to this particular press mention. And it also drove a ton of links for the website. So it was a huge win across the board. And this is one of the things that we wanted to review on the actual webinar. And we went pretty in depth into the process, so it's a little bit difficult to cover it all here. But I want to share the process that we use when we go about pursuing these types of things. So there's multiple tools that journalists use to find sources for articles. So if a journalist is writing an article about the education sector and different companies that are trying to make the education sector in the U.S. more efficient, for example, they send out a request through a number of different sources, and we monitor those for opportunities related to your business. We have an automated review process that we use. You can do this on your own with a couple of the different sources, but we monitor a whole bunch of different sources for a whole bunch of different clients. And so we've built an automated review process that automatically flags us when there are good opportunities for our clients. And when you're responding to these press opportunities, there's a lot of people responding to the journalist. And so it's important for you to use responses that work. And so we've tested a lot of things through the years to figure out, what captures journalists' attention, what do they want, what's the best way to respond to actually get published. And so an example of one of these is shown here on the screen. And the PR requests are really simple. Basically, it's telling you who the person is. It's telling you, in some cases, the media outlet. And then it's showing you an example of what specifically they're looking for, the query in this particular example. So it's fairly straightforward in terms of what the actual request is from the journalist. And so basically we're monitoring this information, and then what we do is we respond on the client's behalf and kind of follow up with that process. And so in our client's example, they responded. It only took a few minutes to do. And after a little bit of back and forth communication, they got published on CNN Money, which you can see here on the screen. It was a huge opportunity with just a little bit of time spent and $0 in cost to actually make this happen. And the results were huge. There was a massive spike in website traffic. They got 16,000 visits in one day, as you can see here on the screen, thousands of visits per day after that directly from this article for about 60 to 90 days. And one thing I wanted to point out that's just a little bit deceiving here in the chart is they did not start from zero. They were getting about 800 to 1,000 visits per day before this happened, and then it shot up to the almost 16,000 visit mark that we see here. And so it was a huge win. The link from cnnmoney.com helped a lot, which you can see here on the screen, but they also got a lot of other links as a result, which is a big win for SEO. And the most important thing I think I should point out here in terms of why this was a home run and why it's a good opportunity for you to consider as well is they received about $55,000 in revenue directly from these press mentions that they got from the CNN Money article. That was over about 30 days. And so this was one of those situations where by monitoring a couple different PR sources, taking the time to respond, you can get published on a massively popular site and drive metrics across the board for your business. So it was definitely a good thing to look at. We also touched on guest blogging, which is essentially publishing content to somebody else's blog. We're going to have a complete separate webinar on this particular topic, but here's a quick overview of important aspects of this. The most important piece is building a relationship with bloggers you actually want to publish content with. And so we talked about a three-part process where essentially you're a member of their audience. You start off by providing commentary on their content, just like a member of their audience would. Then you can move into actually giving that commentary via email, so move the communication into email. Then start talking about content you can provide for their business and publish to their site. So kind of use that three-part process to get to the point where you're able to publish content to their site. And we looked at a lot of case studies in this particular webinar, and this was one of those. This is a client we work with on the East Coast. They run a number of healthcare clinics, and we've used guest blogging almost exclusively to get some pretty competitive rankings in their various cities. Health clinic, walk-in clinic, urgent care centers for a couple of their urgent care clinics, and a number of other keywords that are pretty competitive. We've achieved first page rankings for using mainly the guest blogging tactic because we've been able to scale it. And so it's definitely another tactic to consider. We also went through how to measure results. Measuring results is absolutely crucial, otherwise you're not going to know what's working. And so we focus on proving our worth to clients, as I think you'll see here. And the main metric that you want to look at, which we reviewed, is non-brand organic search visits. It's a most important metric, and basically what it is people that came to your website from search engines and they didn't type in anything related to your company. So for example, somebody types in something related to your products and services on a search engine, and they did not type in your company name or a specific product brand that you sell. And so that's the main metric that we want to look at, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to drive sales, is more people coming to your site that didn't know about you in the first place. We also recommend, obviously, keeping track of links received and priority rankings, but this is the core metric that we wanted to make sure you understand from this presentation. We track a lot of client metrics on our end, and we went into this during the webinar, but I wanted to show you the outcome of what this enables us to do. It really enables us to prove our worth to clients and to give them specific numbers that they can use to compare to other marketing channels. And an example here is we have one client that's doing online advertising where their cost per lead, the CPL, is over $500 per lead in other marketing channels that they're doing. With SEO, we've had months where it's $97 per lead. And so other channels are literally 5 times more expensive than the SEO channel. And by measuring a whole range of different information and metrics, we're able to prove that to clients. Another pretty substantial example is generating almost $25,000 in revenue in a month directly from SEO, and having that only cost the client $2,000 for us to manage it. And our pricing varies depending on different client campaigns, but the reason why I wanted to show you that example is the ROI is pretty clear. And so in the presentation, we focused on analytics and making sure that you know how to evaluate whether or not campaigns are working for your business. And so I wanted to very briefly review how we can help you in case you missed the actual presentation. We do a number of different things for clients, but our main focus is on helping you grow your business online. So we do that by helping you grow website traffic and revenue growth, driving traffic to your site in a number of different ways, and ensuring that people coming to your site actually end up buying your products or becoming a lead or converting in some other way. We also do a number of website projects a year where we are creating websites for clients or redesigning a client's website. Again, this is usually focused on generating more leads from the website, but I did want to make clear that we do a number of these projects every quarter. And then the last thing we do that's really unique and sets us apart is we do a lot of online business guidance and consultation. And what that means is we'll come into your business and either work directly with you or with your entire marketing team or other departments to make sure that you really understand different aspects of web marketing, SEO, and how it fits into different aspects of your business. And this is really a big value for the companies we work with on these training sessions, because you're not just paying us to execute campaigns for you, you're paying us to build knowledge and to build a knowledge asset within your company. And so that's something that we'd be happy to explain further, and I think you'll get a small sample of those training sessions in these presentations and webinars that we do. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can find us at competeonweb.com, and we would be happy to provide further information on this presentation or any other web marketing questions you have. Thank you.